Hey guys, welcome back to DONSLIFE and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be installing these Boost Autos Ion Series illuminated door handles on my 2021 GMC Sierra AT4. Let's go. I'm very excited to do this install because I think this is going to take my truck to another level with some of the custom lighting that I already have in place. These Ion Series handles have so many different lighting functions. You can do switchback, sequential switchback, signal and running light, sequential signal and running light, signal only, sequential signal only, and even an optional startup sequence. And you're gonna have to wait to the end just to see how I spec'd out mine. I took my customizing just a little bit further and I took advantage of Boost Auto's custom paint match services. So now I have the exact white matched to the VIN of my truck. You can also get chrome and you can also get black. Once upon a time, Mrs. DONSLIFE and I owned a painting company, and I can tell you, looking at the quality of the finish and the attention to detail with the painting that they've done on these handles is definitely professional grade. One of the telltale signs is along the sharp edge, the paint film appears to have uniform thickness. It's not too thin, which is a good thing. In true DONSLIFE fashion, I'm going to outline this install ahead of time so it'll all make sense as you watch me put it together. Let's start with any one of these door handles. This will install exactly like the original, and it even uses the original connector for your passive entry, should you have that feature. And fun fact, you can even add passive entry now. Mine has that option, but Boost Auto Parts does have instructions that if you want to add this feature, they'll teach you exactly how to do it. On each door handle, there's an additional plug right here. This plug will go to this adapter harness. This adapter harness will go to this wire harness, which goes all the way to the front of the vehicle where the control module is going to reside. That control module is connected to power and ground, and it is fused. There's a fuse connector there. And this harness here connects to your BCM and controls all the lighting behavior. So exactly how this door handle connects is how this one connects, and this one connects. They're also all labeled, so this is right rear. And on the back of the module, it is labeled which output is which for each of the handles. So the concept is pretty simple. Run a bunch of wires. Story of my life. Now some quick tips before we get started and something I want to show you. We're going to have to disconnect the battery, so make sure your windows are rolled up out of the way. You're not going to need them down for any reason. And you also want to make sure you don't accidentally lock the truck with the doors closed and the keys in it. So just keep that in mind as you're working through this. But what you might not know is I have the LumaStep M2s. Let me just give it an open here. So you can see the welcome lighting is in white. I intend to have the same thing on my handles. So I think it's going to match closely. Now it's going to go up. And it was white because that was the welcome lighting. But if you notice, it just locked itself. But when we unlock and lock, I have an animation sequence, which is called the startup sequence. So these handles are going to tie in nicely to how I have these optioned, which I think is going to be pretty cool. Again, you'll have to wait to the end to see exactly how I optioned mine, because it may not be what you think. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up all of the doors so that way I do not lock myself out or make any mistakes. Because I have made that mistake before where I had this door locked once upon a time when I was wrapping the vehicle, and I had to figure out a way to unlock it and pick the lock from the inside. And I only had the door panel off, but it was a real pain. So I'm just going to be extra careful this time. We're going to pop the hood. Now, if this is a project that you choose to engage with, I recommend going to Boost Auto Parts site and following their installation tutorial. That way nothing will be missed. I'll probably miss speaking about something in this install, but the first thing you should do is disconnect the battery. Probably the cheapest mod I ever did, and it works great. How come Boost doesn't make one of these? You just put a rag under here. So I have extra wires in here that might pull it back onto the post. No light, no power. First, we want to gain access to some screws that are securing the door panel. Remove the said screws with a 7mm hex bit. Don't forget the one way down here at the bottom. Now, using a pry tool or your bare hands, I always like to start in this corner. You can pull the door panel off, working your way up to the top. Slide the door panel upwards, pull out the locking stem, Disconnect the handle cable, sorry you can't see it here, and then disconnect the wiring harness as it's secured to the door panel. And that's that, door panel removed. Now to make things easier later on, we will need to remove this speaker, so I'm doing it right now. Ooh, high power. Next, we'll remove the door handle, take off this cap, use a T25 Torx bit, find the bolt head, and start to loosen it. If you gently pull on the handle, eventually you'll feel it release. Now I've had my door handles off more than I can count, so I can do this part with my eyes closed. Before you pull it out, you want to make sure that the wiring is disconnected. There, we made quick work of that. This is the gasket that just goes back on here, but I want to clean this up so when we put the new handles on, everything will be pristine. There, everything's cleaned up nice. Now there is a bit of a trick to resecuring the handle. Rear right. You'll notice where the back end of the handle feeds into the door, there is a claw mechanism that needs to grip part of that handle. As you turn the adjustment bolt, you'll see the claw move inward or outward. You just need to line it up, and then as you tighten, it will pull the handle inward. It's also a good idea to test the door handle and see if the mechanism feels correct. This one does. Once the door handle's installed, don't forget to reattach the original harness. You'll leave the second harness for a little later. Now that the door handle's connected, before I run the wiring, I just want to get all of my other doors caught up to the same spot. All right, every door handle is installed and appears to be behaving as they should. So right now, all of my doors are ready to connect the new wiring harnesses. But first, to make things easier, we need to remove all of this B-pillar trim, just so we can pull it off to the side, and then we can easily work with all of our wiring, because cable management is important, folks. First, remove covers from the grab handle bolts, and then the cover labeled airbag. Remove both 10mm bolts and the single 7mm bolt. Here I'm removing some extra trim and weather stripping, as you'll need the room to run your wires. Once all of this is out of the way, you'll be able to release the two pillar panels, starting with the top one. And at this point, all of it is just held in with clips. We are making progress. We have room to work, so we can run all of our wires through the door. Next, I got to take off these boots. Now these boots are fairly easy to take on and off. There's just not a lot of room to work. Once you familiarize yourself with one of these, then the rest are very easy. Just be careful not to pull the rubber too hard, as you could tear it. A real concern when you're as strong as I am. Now the rear ones are a little easier than the fronts. Just pull down from the top and you'll expose the wiring. In the front, you'll probably have to use a flathead screwdriver to push down the tab from the top and then pull out. Now here's where you have a couple choices. I chose to pull the harnesses into the door so I could work on them from the speaker hole opening, or you could pull them towards the body of the vehicle and work on them from there. I'm not really sure which is easier, but I chose to do them from within the door. The wiring harnesses are clipped into the vehicle, so make sure that you release the locking tab, and then from there you should be able to figure it out. Now in the rear doors, there's a 90-degree elbow with a cap on it. That cap is removable. Just remember to put it back on when you're all done. Now earlier I mentioned that Boost Auto Parts has tutorials for all of this, so if you need more details, definitely follow their guide. All right, the fun part, running wires. So we're going to run one of these harnesses from the front of the vehicle, under the footwell on the driver's side, to each of the doors, and then eventually to the door handles, because these connect to the module, which will be located up in the footwell. So because cable management is important, we need to make sure that these wires are ran accordingly, meaning we start with this end and we end with the raw ends, which will connect to an adapter here, which I will show you that once we get there. But first, let's get to the front and run all of these harnesses to the various locations. I also wanted to make sure that all of these harnesses were the same length. So I ran them out here just to make sure, because the last thing I'd want to do is have a short one on a rear door and a long one on a front door, and then have to swap them. So all these harnesses are the same length. So first I'm going to use some wire that I can fish in behind the console to the other side. I feel like I've done this 100 times for other things. I hear it on the other side there. Aha, right here. I'm just going to mark one of these with green tape. This one will be our rear door on the passenger side. And this will be our front door. In case you're wondering, I already taped up this end too. Just make a little loop here, and I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to stop about there. So this is the front door, and that is the rear door. Now I'm thinking I'm going to want this module somewhere where it's going to be dry, so I'm probably going to tuck it in right up here somewhere. So all of my connectors need to get to this corner. And so what I'm going to do is find a way to fish these up and over all of the crap that's under here. Now how picky you want to get depends on you, but I've got mine tucked up right here. So once we get them connected to there, it won't be a problem. I'll pull a little bit of slack out of this after I connect these. So right hand rear is this one. Make sure they click. We have right hand front. And again, make sure it clicks. There. Now we'll do the driver's side rear. Click. And we're going to follow along all the way with this harness. I'm going to keep using this chicken wire. Just easier to pull stuff through. Just be careful not to chafe any wires. That would be bad. Now I keep thinking about placement for this. So I'm going to wedge it here, just so it doesn't go anywhere. That way, I know just how long this stuff needs to be. Now I've been hoarding cable ties, and so I'm going to cable tie some of my work. Now your new wires need to follow the existing wires into your doors. Using a wire coat hanger or a chase wire, you can pull the wires back through. Just be mindful of pinching or chafing the wires as you go. Once the wires are pulled through the boots and you've got rid of any slack, then replace the boots in the exact reverse order that you took them out. And trust me, this is not as glamorous as I make it look. Wires through the boot on this side, wires through the boot on this side. All the wires are the length and tucked up the way that I want them to be. Now we just have to do the other side.
A few moments later.
The hardest part, running the wires, is all done. Now we have to take these wires, cut the ends, connect them through these connectors here, so this adapter can plug into the door handle. So it's going to be tough to film inside the door, but essentially I'm going to route the cable up, out of the way of the window track. You get these little clips they give you that can stick to the panel of the door to hold the cable out of the way. And then we essentially want to tuck it up and connect it all somewhere up in here where the other connector for the door handle is. So wish me luck. Times 4. They do recommend using a little bit of dielectric grease, not a lot, but a little, just to make sure no moisture gets in this plug. Okay, that's all done. The door panels, the inner panels just need to be reassembled, but the last step would be to connect the module to the BCM. You'll want to pull down the black harness and the brown harness. This will be a little bit tricky to film. I got some other Boost Auto mods on here, that's why these T-taps are here, but I will do my best to walk you through it. Okay, on the black connector we want pin 13, which is the third row, second from the right. Now we'll take a red T-tap, connect it to this wire, make sure it's on there good. Looks like it's latched. We're just going to go ahead and plug our harnesses in to the module because we're going to need to cut these wires to length. And they don't need to be very long because they're just going to where our T-taps are. Now we want to take our orange wire, that should be long enough, strip the end, take one of your spade connectors, connect it and crimp it on there. Make sure it's secure. And then plug in that T-tap. There, that one's done. Now we need spot number 3, top row, which is going to be this wire right here. So another red T-tap. Now we want the red and green wire. Measure the length, cut it, strip it, put a spade connector on it, and connect it. 2 down. Now pin 2 on the brown connector. Time for a red T-tap. Okay, that's on there. Now it's going to be our red and blue wire. Now these are beside each other when they go up here. So I just want to make sure the length is relatively the same, but probably a little bit longer. Put a connector on it, pinch her down, nice and tight. Next is pin 4 on the brown harness. And this one's going to be a little bit different. You'll see why in a second. Now we're going to take the red wire and cut it back. Except this time we're hooking up our inline fuse. And yes, we'll still do the ground. So this will tuck in behind there. Crimp her down. All right, my friends, we have everything set up properly, I think. I just want to reassemble the truck and then we will test it out. Okay, the battery is reconnected. Passive lock and unlock work on that handle, on that handle. Now I know I'm teasing you by doing these checks first. That one works, and that one works. All right, let's test unlock. Remember, not only the handles are going to light up, but my LumaStep M2. Unlock. So I went with the white DRLs. I felt if they were orange all the time, when the running lights are on, it would be a distraction. And then I can override this and make it white at any time, which I'll show you in a bit here. Let's make sure the other side's functional. Yes, it is. Now, similar to the bottom, there is an animation here. That's pretty cool. Now, these are a sequential signal, so we're going to turn the hazards on. So when I signal left, that's what you should see. And that's what we see on this side. They better see me turning, I'll tell you that much. Here's one more test. We have that door open on that side. So for the welcome lighting, it should all stay white. There, it's all white now. So that gives you the impression there. I have to say, this is pretty cool, but let's take it outside and get a better look. Well, that, as they say, is that. We got it done, everything works. I'm very happy with how they turned out. That was my install of Boost Auto's Ion Series light up door handles. I refer to them as illuminated door handles, but if you pick up a set, you get to pick what you want to call them. I'll make it easy for you. I'll leave a link in the video description below, and they do carry them for more than just my series of vehicle. They have them for a number of different trucks now. Well, I'm installed out for the day, so if you like this video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.